But anyway, so I had to tell a guy, listen, can we reshoot that question? There was a bee flying around behind you.
Don't do the typical thing that people do in situations like that, which is we'll fix it in post.
All right, welcome back to the latest episode of Game Day Glare. I'm Lance. I'm with E. This is the podcast for sports videographers. How you doing, E?
I'm doing good. Yeah, doing mostly editing these days. But you've been busy. You've been going around the world, showing off your skills. How are you doing?
Good. I just got back from a trip from. I was in Texas for 6 days. First time in Texas. Got to do a lot of cool things. Went to bull riding. Realized like that is a career that I would never want to go in. Once I saw a guy get trampled by one of the bulls, and it was no. I mean, he was okay after, but like it's scary. Cool footage though. I got some really good footage of some bull riding though, some intense moments. So that was cool. And I was in Fort Worth, so I went to the stockyards and did some tourist things in between filming a conference for 5 days. But had a lot of fun, and then I flew in for today's topic,
Which
is
is
I flew in for the Canadians Media Day. So we're going to be talking Media Day today. We're going to be talking about our experiences, things I saw, things we've done in the past, things that can help you. But I'm tired. I'm not going to lie. I'm tired. Flying in and then going right to Media Day early in the morning is, it's a culture shock too. I realized, I live in Montreal. I really like Texas, but Texas is a lot different than Montreal. And I am no cowboy. I do have a cowboy hat though now, but I am no cowboy. That's for sure. No.
Well,
all right. So,
better. I hope you got a coffee because you'll be doing most of the talking today. So don't fall asleep on me.
no. You listen. You've done quite a bit of media days. You did like in Australia. You did with the national team. You've done with rugby teams and all that too. It's just mine was more recent since it was yesterday. But like honestly, media days are very similar. There's always great takeaways. There's always things you can learn, even though, this is my 23rd year of working with the Canadians and maybe doing media days and that. I still learn stuff every day, and I still meet new people and new connections and that. And I think that's what's really, really important about an event like that. Because I will say that since I started, or since you and I worked together and we used to do media day, we started off where we had like one booth and one little section, and then beside us was like, I remember Bob Fisher at the time was the photographer. He had his headshot section, and that was basically it. But there was this big social media craze like there is nowadays. Yesterday when I went there was 14 booths set up, not including the standard headshot one, the product booth for photography, and not including the 4 or 5 booths that they did the day before on ice. Like you're up to like 20 booths or 20 stations for players now in Montreal. That is a lot. That is from where we went when there was one. And we used to give the broadcast team their stuff, or they would have their own headshots the day before last preseason game. They would grab guys and do stuff like that. Where now it's completely changed, where like it's a 2-day event. Guys like yesterday practiced, then they came to our booth, or we had other guys who were at our booth and then have to go do a practice. So it's a lot on the players, but it's a lot now of footage, a lot of media you can get on media day, and everybody wants a piece of it now, especially with these exclusivity deals. You got Amazon Prime in the mix. We have TSN, Sportsnet, RDS, TVA. And that's in just Montreal. Then you have like the radio stations, NHL network. You have all these guys who want their content. And
so those are included in the 14.
yes.
Extra. Okay.
Yeah. No. The Montreal Canadiens don't have 14 booths, but that's just for a player's perspective.
Yeah.
Now, when you go there, you get assigned, this is your booth, and you go there, you have your booth, right? Unless you're doing behind the scenes where you can follow guys to all the booths. But that's a lot of people, man. A lot of people that are there trying to cover media day, and it's just getting bigger. But I will say it's smooth. It was very, very smooth yesterday. My booth was pretty relaxed, but anyway, we'll get into that after. But considering the amount of people and the amount of content that's being filmed, it's very, very well organized.
And how many, roughly, like how many stations were the Canadians doing, and like what's roughly the difference between each of them?
So the Canadians did on ice stuff the first 2 days. So they have the guys doing like goal celebrations. They're in full gear. They're doing their headshot stuff where with the player intros, all that. They're doing that, all that on air. They're on ice, sorry. And they're also doing stuff for the opening video on ice, right? So they had at least minimum 3. I didn't see it. I wasn't there the first day. I missed all that. I just heard from the other guys of what went on. They rented some new gear, tried some new cameras, tried some new lenses, and they had fun with it. But it was a bigger production day, and it's hard too to get the guys organized. It's not easy to ask guys. You just had to practice. Hey, can you come back on with your gear and give us a 15-second goal celebration? Especially as guys are getting older, they have stuff to do. They know the routine. They want to get out of there, especially the first couple days. Where the young guys, like, you invite a rookie over and you like, give me a goal celebration. He's giving you the whole 15 seconds. He'll probably even give you an extra 5 because he's so into it. Where you kind of see that as guys become veterans and guys get older, that they realize, okay, this is what I got to do. Okay, let's move on to next and get it over with. Where the younger guys will spend a little bit more time. They don't mind. So it is funny to see that progression in guys, especially as you get to know them. But I mean, the on ice stuff is, for me, that's the stuff I like to see the most. Unfortunately, I missed it this year because I was in Texas and I only got there the day after for the talking head stuff. But the on ice stuff, for me as a camera person or a videographer, that is where you could try the most creative stuff. They look so nice. You're going to find a way to use those shots in a video or a player intro or even a player hype reel. Those are stuff that you bank that you can use all season long. That is so helpful.
True. Doesn't really answer my question, but I liked it.
What was your question then? Yeah, go back to your question. Sorry, maybe I got off topic.
That was interesting, though.
What was your real question then?
My original question was yesterday, like how many booth did the Canadians have, and like what was the difference between them?
So
well,
yesterday,
I didn't say yesterday; it included the 2 days. But
okay.
Yeah.
So they had 4 booths and 2 headshot booths. So 2 green screens for talking head stuff, player questions, all that. They had another one where it's like a 2-player one where it's like the chat. And they had another one that was like social media stuff where they did stuff with iPhones and that, which was more fun in that. So it's pretty low key. I was doing a green screen booth. So I was
right.
doing
The first answer was more interesting.
Exactly. The day that I wasn't there was more interesting. Okay. That's why I was talking about what the guys told me, the day I was there was more low key. But like even me, so I had a talking head booth. So it's a green screen, 6 light setup. So just for instance, 2 lights on the guy, 2 lights on the green screen, 2 lights above the green screen for backlight, and very, very clean shot, easy to key.
So let's break that down actually for people who don't really know much about green screen and how to properly do it. Like so what's the best or the typical way to do it? Is it like, you got 2 lights on the green screen, which I assume the goal is to evenly lit the green screen, and then what are the other lights for?
What I do, and I was very fortunate yesterday. You show up and it's already set up, and I just had to put my camera because we're very spoiled there with that because I have lighting guys coming in that. But in the past, when I do my own lighting for corporate stuff and that, what I always do is I light the green screen first. I light the green screen, try and get the green screen flat. Then I light my subject. So the 2 lights for the subject, you want him flat too. Like you want him evenly lit. So right now, if you look at this, I'm pretty evenly lit because I have 2 lights on the side. So you're going to have 2 side lights. And then we have 2 back lights. So you can get that nice trim, which I don't have I already did. Where you get that nice trim of the shoulder so you can easily separate the jersey from the green screen. That's the whole point of it.
Yeah, because otherwise you get like bleeding. There's like
Exactly.
a
Exactly.
green. Basically, the lights are reflecting some green on all over the edge of the body.
Yes, and it also helps light the hairline because as you guys know, or you will find out, hair is the hardest part. The shoulders, the jersey, the clothes, easy. It's always the hair. You always have a little bit of green, and then you got to feather it a bit and play with
It's too
it.
much detail. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's the idea of why you have the light from above. You want that separation, and that's what it
So
creates.
you always love a bald guy on the green screen shoot. It's like, oh, sweet. Give me
But the
more of
thing
that.
with being bald, or even like us right now, if you look like we have like shiny
Reflections.
foreheads right
Yeah.
now, is sometimes you get that green reflection.
It's
So
true.
then you'll get a guy with like a hole in his head, and you got to adjust it. So you have to be careful with that. Well, because we didn't have time to go to makeup today.
Yeah,
Usually we have our makeup artist come over, touch us up before we press record. Today we didn't
it's
have
true.
that. Anyway, so back to my booth. That was the lighting setup, and then I used my FX3 28 to 75 2.8. My lens was, and wireless mic setup. Wireless mic setup with lapel, but we ran the wire for lapel clipped onto the jersey and record on 4 audio channels. My backup also was a shotgun mic for some reason. If the mic did go down, and it actually happened to me. So everything's running off battery. So we have a sound guy who hooks up his mic. He checks all the levels, so it's very nice. And then I have a guy. I mic him up. He says his name, and then all of a sudden I hear it drop, and I'm like, and of course the battery died. So then I have to run, switch batteries. But you always have to monitor that stuff. And when you're doing these shoots, you cannot be shy. Like my battery died, I had to tell everybody, hey, hang on, stop asking questions. I got to change the battery. Because if you're too shy and you just continue with it and you're like, oh, I'll just get the shotgun mic to do it. No, you're not doing your job. You want the best image and audio that you can possibly get. So just take the time, tell everybody what's going on. No one's going to get mad. Yes, we are on a time limit. You know, like you got each guy for like, I don't know, say 7 minutes or 8 minutes, whatever the time is. So you're trying to get them out as fast as you can, but you have things happen. So you have to change batteries. And another thing too is if we had a bee flying around. So one guy's answering, he's doing this whole thing, and I'm like, hey, on, there's a bee like in the shot. And they're like, what? I'm like, there's a bee. Can we just, so we waited and then we redid it. But a little story I'll tell you. I'm allergic to bees.
Oh.
I got stung by that bee yesterday while eating a sandwich.
Oh,
And
really?
then yeah, my finger's still swollen. I don't know if you could see on camera. My finger's still swollen. And then I had to tell our friend Paul, can you get the EpiPen just in case? Because I haven't got stung by a bee in a long time.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure how I react because I know when I was a kid, I had to go for all these treatments to kind of not be allergic to bees anymore.
Okay.
And I guess it worked because all I have is a really sore, swollen finger, and I'll take that instead of having somebody jab with the EpiPen. Because all of a sudden, my other friends there, when I tell them, like, I see them, they're all kind of wondering who gets to jab me with that EpiPen. So, anyway, little side story, but I got stung by a bee. I was okay. I'm here to talk about it today on this podcast. But anyway, so I had to tell a guy, listen, can we reshoot that question? There was a bee flying around behind you. And it sounds silly. And he's like, what? I'm like, I know, but trust me, because if that, it's going to look weird when we pick the green out and you see a bee flying because there's no way you're going to be able to track that bee. There's no way in hell.
Yeah.
So anyway, you have to just not be shy. And you know, if something goes wrong, flag it right away.
Don't do the typical thing that people do in situations like that, which is we'll fix it in post.
Yeah, exactly. There's no fixing it in post all the time, right? It just, if you have the time, please make sure that you know, just get them to redo it. I mean, they understand. They want to look good on camera just as much as you want to give them a good product. So just take the time that you need.
But for the audio, I guess it depends how wide you need the shot to be, but I would have probably used more of a shot. I would have used like a C-stand and try to get like a good shotgun mic as close as possible to you know, to their mouth basically, and so that way you don't have to put on like a lapel and take it off every single time, and it's just like easier and things like that. Like, was that an option or not really?
No, not really, because so in the booths, they're just material black, like poles with like black drapes, so you can hear audio from other booths. So they felt like lapel was better for later on. And also, since I was doing green screen, we do have guys who raise their hands and do little things like that. So you can't have them do that with the boom mic. There was other. We'll talk about another station after that had a boom mic that was work for them. But in my situation, no, it was easier with lapel because we have guys like, sometimes we're handing them objects and they got to look at it or they got to react to it, stuff like that. So it didn't make sense to have the boom mic. But personally, me, when I'm doing a lot of interviews, the boom mic is the easiest setup because, especially once you have your first person, you kind of know the levels. Later on, you might have to adjust to people's volume of their voices, but that's very, very minimal. But it's nice to just have someone sit down and be comfortable right away, because it is always awkward. Hey, can you run this wire up your shirt or run it down your shirt? Put this in your pocket and you're so close. So I always introduce myself because I feel kind of weird. I'm going up someone's shirt without even telling them my name, you know? So the boom mic makes it a lot faster too.
Yeah, no, exactly. Sometimes, like, if well, depends on the environment. Like yours seem to be a bit noisy, so I understand. But like, if not, like the quality of the audio is better from the shotgun mic than from a lapel. So if you can manage it in a more quiet environment, it's actually for the better.
And let's just put it out there. Like, if you have a shotgun mic for your camera that plugs in through mini jack, right? You can always use a wireless setup like the Rode Wireless Go 2 or the DJI Mic 2 set or DJI Mic 1 set. And you could plug that Video Go mic into it and use that as your boom, and it can have a wireless transmission to your camera. So, because a lot of people think like, oh, well, I don't have an XLR set up for a wireless mic, or there's so many different options now to do a boom mic. It's very simple. The only thing you do need is a pole. That's the only accessory that I would say
Or
like
you
that
can
people don't have.
even, if you're gonna do it from
Oh, you could do it below, yeah.
yeah, and like for like I use a C stand, which is so basically it just you don't need someone to actually hold it. You can just put it on a C stand, which has like a main stand, and then there's like a one that's perpendicular. Is that the word? So basically, you just put it at the end of that, and it just stands by itself. And you can put like a sandbag on it if you want to make sure that it doesn't fall down, but it shouldn't, because that's what these stands are for. And yeah, you're good to go. As long as, like I said, like it's probably going to be like 3-4. I'm looking at mine right here, like 3-4 feet away, like that stand. So if you need space, and like you said, if there's hands moving around and stuff like that, it's probably not ideal. But if it's just like a stereotypical talking head video, it's great.
Yeah. And honestly, yeah, it's true. Down below, I'm always thinking up high because that's how I'm so used to seeing it. But yeah, you
Yeah,
could do down below as long as you have it targeted at the right spot.
yeah.
That works too. So it's really whatever works for your style. But anyway, for this scenario, we chose to go lapel, and I like lapel. Honestly, it's nice and clean. Sometimes it's a little awkward to clip on certain, like if you have a collar here, you got to clip it here, and that's what I really like about the new say DJI Mini 3, not Mini 3, or yeah, Mic 3 set, that you just can use a magnet, put on the inside of your shirt, and you can stick it anywhere. I do wish though that the new one you're able to plug a real lapel into it as an option, but you don't have it. But anyway, that's
Well, what I don't like about it is that, well, first of all, I used to just not really know how to position properly, and I just put it on the collar every single time. And until I realized how more muffled it sounds when you do that, because basically the chin's in the way. And the ideal position is more like yeah, on the chest, basically, like where right here. And so if someone's wearing a shirt or like a jacket, something like that, it's easy. But if not, then it's a bit of an awkward, a bit less awkward these days, because people like to have the mic in the shot. But if you're trying to make the microphone invisible, it's a bit harder to pull off. I would, because basically once I hear the difference, I struggle to go back to like not a poor quality, but like I know it's not going to be as good as it can be. So like it annoys me to put it like here. So I'm trying to. I'd rather put it here and then do a tighter shot where we don't see it at all, like things like that. So like if I can avoid all of that, and now we're just talking men, like with women and dresses and things like that, and tops that are like like no shoulders, and it becomes even more difficult. So yeah, if you can avoid all of that with a boom mic, I'm definitely all in.
Jerseys aren't the easiest place to attach a lapel because the collars, say in hockey, they're all pretty high, football too, because they're meant to be a jersey and hold in equipment. So, a corporate video for lapel mic is way easier than a sporting event, a sporting team, because, nothing is easier than a jacket or a shirt. Like you mentioned, you run it up, the buttons are perfect for you. You don't even really notice in a shot. I actually, it's funny, but I like it when women wear like little scarves kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
Because what I'll do is I'll hook it here and I'll just run the wire over their neck and I'll just run it right down their back and just clip it right to their thing fast. And you don't notice it at all. And it's not intrusive or anything, because it's always awkward when you're like, oh, can I mic you up? And they're wearing like this skirt or dress and you don't have a place to attach it. And you're like, I don't know where to put it. So that helps anyway. So what else do we got going on?
What was the well, I know you weren't there, but like on the ice, was there do you know what the lighting like situation was like?
So I saw some stills that they posted online and stuff like that. So one had like tube lights and like their own look in the background, like a real look that they're keeping. And another one was a green screen where they did like player reactions, goal celebrations, all that on the ice.
Okay.
They also do one with a black backdrop too that they can use for other stuff. But usually the way it works is you get your green screen stuff, so you put whatever look you want behind it, and then you have your season look, which say with the tube lights and that. That way, that goes in your season look for promotional videos, the main video, the home opening video, all that stuff. That's what it usually goes into.
But when you do like a green screen on the ice, are they like skating around?
Yeah,
Because the
yeah.
green screen, how wide is that?
Green screen's just behind them. Yeah, it's usually pretty big, where it's just behind them, and they could do whatever they need to do.
But they're not like
No, they usually like
skating.
come in, you skate towards the lens, you do your little fist pump, you do all that stuff,
Okay.
and then
Okay.
you
I
get
see.
after. Yeah. No, they're not doing full slap shot stuff. We had done that in the past though, where we kind of blacked out the arena, put spotlights so you can't see anything else, and you have the guy like doing slap shots, or you could do these nice wide cinematic shots. Well, the problem with this, it's getting harder and harder because everybody needs the player's time, right? So you really got to come up with ideas on how to be efficient and how to maximize what you're shooting and what you're getting, and what the player, how much time the player's putting in, which is really tricky. Like, I'm glad that's not my job.
Yeah. Oh,
My job's press record, get stung by bees, go home. Like, that's it.
exactly. Was there an NHL 25 like a video game station?
No, but we did do like there was like a live kind of sit down that they streamed throughout the media day with players in between stations, and that's pretty good with Kevin Raphael. So that's always neat to see because he's throwing them random questions they're not used to. Sometimes they'll play video games with them. He has like a lot of animation stuff going on, so a lot of people tune into that and they like it because it kind of gives them a little sneak peek of what's going on in media day. And behind them, you have the 2 photo booths. So you see guys coming in to get their headshots, or guys trying on the latest Habs gear behind them. And you also have 2 mascots running around, annoying
Nice.
you and trying to get in your way while you're filming this stuff, and interrupting your scene, your booth, and that, just for fun, get players' reactions. So it's a fun day. It's a fun day. I used to get stressed out. Like, when I was younger, I used to be so stressed, like, just, oh my God, I want this perfect. And I want like everything to go great. And then now that I'm older, I really take advantage of it and, like, catch up with people I haven't seen. Cause during the season, you're so busy. You don't really get to chit chat that much, or say hi to certain people. You just give them a wave and you guys go your own way. So it gives you a chance to check out other people's booths, talk to other cameramen, meet new people, and kind of see what other people are doing too with their booths. You know, like I know what my booth is. Mine's a green screen talking head, but like I got to go over other teams booths or other TV stations booths and see what they were doing and kind of see why they were doing this and get an idea. It gives me new ideas too in ways that I can shoot my own projects.
What I was gonna ask, like, what's the booth that had like the most, professional or like complicated kind of setup, like, or that you were really impressed either by the setup or just by the gear they were using?
I mean, obviously mine was the most professional. My booth was the most professional. Uh, but okay, so I saw a part of a TVL's booth, and they had like these LED tube lights and stuff like that. I thought that was really, really cool. But what really impressed me though is I met Mike, and he was working for Amazon, and I got to sit down to go and see the Amazon booth, and it's silly. They had a very simple setup, 4 lights, 2 on the subject. Well, sorry, 1 on the subject, 1 on the backdrop, 1 hair light, and they had 1 behind on the floor that kind of lit up the back of the guy. Okay, it looked very dramatic, looked very nice. Blue backdrop. Now, silly me, I walk in and we're chit chatting. I'm like, why do you guys have a blue screen instead of a green screen? Thinking that's what it is, and they look at me and they're like, no, that's the Amazon colors. We're just keeping that as the backdrop. And right away, like that's so smart because why not just keep the natural backdrop? Your blue, your Amazon, you don't, it's less later on in post-production. You don't have to chroma key every interview you've done. Now, the thing that I really liked that they did is in this day and age, everybody wants vertical content. And it's very tricky, right? And you're always trying to think of ways, how can I get vertical content at the same time I'm getting horizontal content? So like my booth, for example, I shot wide. I shot it like almost, I shot at like maybe in between 35 and 28 was my focal length, because I basically squared up the guy in the middle of my screen. So this way, if they want to use my shot for vertical, they're covered. But I'm leaving a lot of headspace, right? Because I'm so wide, which I normally would not do. Well, they had at the Amazon booth, they had 2 cameras sandwiched beside each other. They had an FX6 for horizontal and an FX3 for vertical. And they were like, boom, the lenses are like that.
FX3 shooting vertical or?
Yeah, the FX3 was mounted vertical.
Yeah.
And like, it's such an easy, simple solution. They're like, yeah, we just have double the footage, we press record. But now we know we have both shots.
It's true.
So, I mean, it's so simple that why don't more people do that? I know you need 2 cameras.
Yeah.
But then after we're talking, all us camera guys. Now I bought a small rig phone mount that snaps on the back of your magnetic ring, right? So I put that on my handle, and what I would do every time a guy comes to my booth, I take a picture. I take a picture of him sitting in the seat, so later on at the end of the day, when we're backing up cards and checking footage, I know I filmed these guys, XYZ, I filmed. Because during the day, you felt like, you film 25 guys. You don't know everyone's name because some guys are rookies, some guys you've never seen before, some guys got traded. So I have a photo to identify who they are. So I said, guys, why don't we just try it as a test? I put my phone and we recorded both on my camera, 1 vertical with my iPhone and 1 on my FX3. And it worked. It was fine. It was a pretty good test. So that's a solution for people if they want to do both at the same time, because not everybody can afford to have a FX6 and an FX3 for vertical just like that. Amazon can, but the average person who's listening to this podcast can't. But everybody has a cell phone right now. So I bought it.
How many people on the Amazon team, just out of curiosity?
There was 3.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's 3 guys. You had a camera guy, a producer, and a sound guy. That was it. No, it was very, very simple setup, but I really liked their approach to it. And these guys who are working for Amazon, they're very good, but they were like, we want to keep it as simple as possible. And why not? Us as sports videographers sometimes, or when you go to a media day, you overcomplicate things. And there's no reason to overcomplicate it. Because if you overcomplicate it first, you're giving yourself more work after. And you're making it harder too for your talent who is in between how many booths. Like you don't know if that guy just did practice and did 10 booths and now you're number 11, or if you're number one and he's super excited and then has to do the 11 after, because your energy levels change, right, throughout the day, depending on how much stuff you're doing. So I thought this approach was really, really good. And I mean, it's a simple setup and it gave them the results they want because your lenses are practically touching. So it's not really, the angle's not really off a bit. It's almost identical. Just one's horizontal for TV and one vertical for other socials, and it's a smart move. So maybe that's what people should, like, guys like us should start doing more, is why am I always cropping everything? Especially when you're cropping 4K and then you're in 1080. Well, no, I'm filming in 4K vertical. You're going to see the difference in quality. So they found a hack to keep that quality. I mean, they do have an FX6 and FX3, so it's very nice. They're going to have that quality. But for us, um, you know, smaller videographers, it at least makes you think about like how important vertical is. Because I'm not gonna lie, I don't like vertical. I watch it all the time, but I hate producing it. Where if I just came up with a solution to record both at the same time, I wouldn't mind it as much. Y- You ever do any vertical stuff like that? Like you ever plan ahead for your vertical stuff, or are you always just horizontal and you adjust later in post?
No, well, I did do a YouTube video where I shot a basketball game vertically just to test it out. Um, it obviously makes it easier in the edit, but it's a bit more difficult when you're filming because you don't see as much. It's harder to anticipate where the ball is going because you don't really see anyone other than the, like in the case of basketball, the guy that has the ball in his hand. So it's hard to sort of where to go. You're often more often than when filming horizontal, you end up being late on the play. But I guess it was my first time, so if you're used to it, you're probably better, and it doesn't matter. But yeah, it's a bit harder to film, but it definitely helps for after. But the thing is that you're stuck. Like you can always make horizontal video vertical. You can't make a vertical video horizontal. So it's one of those things where if you strictly do Instagram and TikTok and things like that, then I would probably film that way, just to avoid all the positioning and keyframing in post. Like I would probably train myself to be better at filming vertically. But if there's a chance that my footage can be used landscape, then I can't take that risk and basically waste a game or waste an opportunity to have footage available for later. So but what I do sometimes, and when I use not sometimes, most times when I film with my monitor, is that I put guides that are basically the shape of a vertical video in the middle of my monitor, so I see what the actual vertical frame looks like, and try to keep the action, most of the time in there. So that kind of helps.
So yesterday when I left, I was really thinking about the vertical, and I think I'm going to ask clients moving forward if they want vertical. And because a lot of times I'll do interview setups where I'll have two cameras. So one is straight on, or they're looking a little bit to the left or right, depending on where I stand and ask the questions. And I have like a side profile one. One is usually tighter, one is usually wider. But I think I'm going to ask clients, like, listen, do you want me to film both cameras straight on, one vertical and one horizontal? Because like last night when I did get home, I looked at my FX3 rig and I was like, okay, how am I gonna, maybe I should start making a vertical rig with this also and see what I could do. Like maybe I might have to order a little extra piece from small rig or something like that. Maybe it's a good idea to have a vertical rig, because I do shoot horizontal all the time. Yeah, I prefer it. It's easier for me. Corporate, when I do corporate jobs, that's what they want anyway, because they're sharing it on LinkedIn, they're sharing it on their YouTube. That's fine. But maybe it's something that I can offer clients too with a vertical rig and to make my life a lot easier and they're getting higher quality. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to do this. It's just something I'm looking into, or that I can adjust easily. Like, listen, I have all the pieces. If I put my V mount battery here and I put my handle here, will I be steady enough, because right now I usually rock I'll pump it again, the eye footage Cobra 3 monopod, or I use the peak performance straps, which I really, really like. So if I'm using the peak performance straps, then I got to figure out a way how to get that vertical rig to work with those two. Anyway, it's just something to think about.
Or you could use like one of those new 7K or 8K cameras. That way you can,
Yeah,
you
get
don't have
everything.
to crop as much. You can scale down and
I'd be
keep the.
interested to try the sacks. You ever see the bag that you put on? I would be interested to try that to see how that would work instead of my straps, because it's a very similar idea. Once you have a strap to your neck, you have a little bit more balance. But I'm sure there would be a bit of a learning curve having my rig vertical. Just the way I move, just the way it feels, because like having horizontal, I got this nice little cushion where I rested on my arm. I have my, I don't think it feels the same when it's vertical, but I'll definitely try it. But that's why I left media day yesterday thinking about, like, why overcomplicate shoots? And I take Amazon as a great example. Blue backdrop, that's our backdrop. Our mandate is vertical and horizontal content, 2 cameras, 1 horizontal, 1 vertical, done. And they by the way had a boom.
See, that's how the pros do it.
That's it. No, but they were just having a sitting there talking head, just talking. There was no no movement of no doing activities and stuff like that. But they do have the mandate to make everything look the same. So they, have pictures, they have stuff. This is how we want to frame it. They know exactly how they want to frame their shots. And it helps. It does help when you have a guide like that. Like, hey, this is what we want. So basically we've done in the past. You get your photos of what you're looking for. You set up the guy. You look, okay, yeah, we're good.
Well, I think, look, for me, the background thing, like, I understand in certain situations, obviously a green screen is very useful, but to segue into probably our last segment, which is to recommend, what should sports videographers at a sort kind of lower level should do, because when it comes to like a green screen, everybody does it, but not always for the right reasons. Like, in the sense that, like, if you do it thinking, that way we'll be able to put anything and we'll be able to use that in any context we want. That's true, but that never happens. Like, what always happens is that you're in season, you got all these videos, these social media. Let's say it's like just like social media, like funny videos. You're not going to change the background every time. Like, you're just going to have that marketing approved background for the season that you're going to use every single time. So if that's what you're going to do, might as well put that background already on the set and just get it over with. And it's a lot less time spent in editing. And but if the end result involves like some sort of After Effects thing, that like having the player separated from everything makes sense, then yeah. But if you're going to use the same background every time, because it would be weird to have, like, what other backgrounds are you going to use? Like, it's not a screensaver. Like, you're not going to, so, what I mean? You're probably going to keep it basic, and that's our setup. That's our look for the season. And that's what it's going to be. So unless that look is unachievable in studio and you have to do it in post, again, that's another reason why it makes sense. I'm not saying never use a green screen, but if it's going to be something that you can do in studio, that's probably going to take you a few hours to set up. But to be honest, like, I'd rather spend a few hours to get a background right and just do it that way, than to like quickly put on a green screen and then just like spend the entire year, keying and trying to play with hair and things like that. It's just like, let's just get it right. But it also depends on where you're filming. Like, sometimes I've filmed a lot of media days, like in hotel, like I filmed with the Australian basketball team, like the Boomers. We were in their hotel, like in some conference room somewhere. Like, we removed the tables, and that's our room. So obviously, we're not gonna use we did use the actual background. It wasn't a green screen thing, but it was blacked out, and then we had like LED lights and smoke and all these different things. But if you don't have that budget and you're stuck in a room where it has nothing to do with what your team is about, then you have to either get creative or just use a green screen. So yeah, that's my take on the green screen. But like otherwise, I'd say for people who want to set up, actually that's my next question. Like if you got like a basic, don't really have much of a budget, let's say you're working for or filming for a school, what would you do? Like what would be like, if I'm assuming like at that level there's not much marketing content involved, like so like what type of like booth, stations would you go for? With the, I'm assuming one more for hype reel and maybe one more for social. And like, would you use a green screen? Would you not? Like, what would be your approach?
I feel like people default to green screen
Yeah,
because they think it's the go-to and everybody expects to see a green screen, but I don't think that's the way to go. In the case that I filmed yesterday, yes, the green screen is there for a purpose. They're player questions, so they they usually have the same backdrop, but they have a lot of animation and stuff going on behind them during these things. Like, so I don't know, example, let's just say they're talking about their favorite jarred food, and the one guy says pickles. Well, they'll show pickles or whatever.
yeah,
Not that they didn't ask that question. I'm not giving away any secrets, but I'm just saying that that is what you would see on the thing. So that's why they do a green screen. Now, if I'm working for a school or a team that has no budget, then like, okay, you can use a black backdrop with lighting and stuff like that. That can always work for player intros. But why not use the stadium or their home court or whatever as a backdrop? Use their environment, something that's related to them that people can recognize. It's going to save you a lot less time and it makes sense. And that's the whole point. You want to have the backdrop make sense with what your subject is, what your team is, what your video is going to be about. So in this case, like the green screen makes sense because they want all this animation behind them and that. But they have a budget. They have editors who are going to edit this and edit all the animations and that. If a school is hiring you and they don't have much of a budget, then simplify it. Try and make it as simple as possible. It'll make your edit easier. It'll make your setup easier. Because, if I'm not really worried about the background, then I can get away with a 2 light setup or a 1 light setup and my camera. Where when I'm doing green screen, I've added more light because the green screen requires more light. It requires more attention. Where if I'm just doing a one interview style with the basketball court in the background, well, I want that court a little darker. I want that court maybe to be more out of focus where it's the court, but it's not the main focus point.
no, I agree. I think, yeah, if you're gonna be by yourself running this, or if you just don't really have any money, then exactly, like, don't try to get into green screens and tube lights and all that sort of stuff. Just like find a nice spot that has a link to the team or the school or whatever it is that you're filming, whether it's on the field, something, or it could just be like in the city. Like I've seen like teams just go around the city, around like landmarks and things like that. Obviously, if you're a football team, there's a lot of players, maybe like running around the city is not ideal. But yeah, just find something. It could be just a one landmark and film there, or and just something that doesn't require that many lights. Just like if you can have one or two, just to make sure that your subject is lit properly. But other than that, yeah, just have like something recognizable that makes sense in the background, and just go nuts.
Yeah. And my only other piece of advice is get there early, set up, give yourself time, and test you as the first subject.
Yeah,
Press record, go sit and check all your levels and that. And once you have guys showing up, keep those settings the same. Because for some reason, if your white is safe, yeah, I don't know, your white balance should be 56K and you shot it at 54. Don't worry, keep it at 54 for everybody. Because once you fix one, you can apply that to all the others and it's a lot easier. It's a lot harder when you're adjusting settings throughout the day and you keep going, even if you did fuck up. You know, try your best to keep your settings the same so you know what you're working with. That's the only tip because it will make your workflow better at the end. I mean, obviously, for some reason, if you blew the first interview and is overexposed, adjust it. Okay, adjust it. But try and keep, you know, do your test shot with somebody. Make sure your settings are dialed in, and try your best to keep to those standard settings, because it will make it easier for in post. Everyone's going to match. You know, because there's nothing worse than leaving your camera on automatic white balance or something like that, and you have different guys come in, because yes, the lighting hasn't really changed, but the white balance could be different just from the tone of their skin. Just from if a guy's wearing a different hoodie and he's a darker or lighter than the other guy, these things happen in automatic. So keep your dials set to your settings in manual, and try and keep control as much as you can.
No, I agree. And like you said, like get there early. I personally try to always do it like the day before, like just especially if it's on location or something like that is going to be different from the typical green screen. Like I'll just set it all up the day before, test it with like a fake subject and make sure that it looks like what I want it to look, and that we have time to adjust to all the small things that we didn't think about when we are just like pre-producing everything. So figure everything out the day before, and then that way the next day when it starts, you're good to go. Or like sometimes if the shoot starts at let's say at noon, and you get there at 9, and like for some reasons you got one piece missing, or something's not working the way you want it, or you don't have access to set up the lights the way you want it, and next thing you know, it's like 11:45, a player shows up early, you're not ready, and then it just becomes a mess from there, because you're always kind of behind trying to fix things on the go, and you don't really have time to set it up properly because there's players coming in now and things like that. So yeah, if you can do it the day before and just make sure that everything is good to go the next day and can just turn the equipment back on, I definitely recommend doing that.
Yeah, because these guys are pro, like, especially when you're playing the pro level. We've had it happen to us, where we show up at 7 and there's a guy there ready to go, and
Mm.
you're like, oh man, he's early. But pros get to the arena early. Pros are ready early. So if you want to be a pro, do the same thing. Be ready.
Ooh.
Yeah. So when they show up, you're ready to go. Hey, it's happened, man. I had a guy at 7:30 in the morning ready to go, and I'm like, oh, good thing I got here a little bit earlier. I'm ready. Yeah, we
Uh,
can film this now. As long as you have your questions and all your marketing material stuff, you're ready to go. I mean, there's times where you don't have that and you have to tell the guy, okay, we got to wait. But you are ready to press record. You are ready to mic them up. You're ready to start producing. Any final takeaways, on media day?
No, that's it. It's just about being efficient and yeah, making sure you got everything ready and prepared. But and on the day, just yeah, try to keep the people happy, have fun, put a bit of music if you can. Just relax everyone. Like you said, talk to them, introduce yourself, be nice, be fun to be around, and try to make your life as easy as possible in the edit.
Exactly, exactly. And the only other piece I'd add is always going with an open mind. Like, I was on year 23, and I still meet new people and learn new things every time I go, and it only makes you better. All right. Well, that's it for this episode of Game Day Glare. Take care, guys.
Yep.